All right, as promised, let's take a deeper dive into the Minnesota Vikings. They come to the Valley this Sunday. Cardinals trying to improve to 2-0. Vikings looking for their first win after coming up short in overtime. And Larry Fitzgerald Sr. is back with us. Columnist, editor, Minnesota spokesman, recorder, Fitz Beat Sr. You can find him on Twitter and check out all of his thoughts and content. It is good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you been?
I've been good. I actually have a football team that got off to a good start out here the other day. So it'll be interesting to see what Sunday is all about. What is the vibe, the feel, your observations on the Vikings after 1 week?
Well, disappointing. The preseason was a wash. They didn't get much accomplished at all. They were 0-3, and you didn't get to see anybody. This is a team with 11, 12 players that have previously been Pro Bowlers. So they usually go into a season, this being the state's most popular sports franchise, with high expectations that they eventually are going to get closer to fulfilling a vision of winning a world championship. That's something that they've never done. And, when I first moved to this market, the Vikings were making annual trips to the Super Bowl. I think they had gone 4 times before 1978, but they haven't had a sniff since. But they've had some really good teams. They got a lot of players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and so expectations are for them to have a team that can go out and get it done and can win. And but they just seem to have issues, at least in their 61 years that I've recognized against particularly AFC teams. They seem to do well in the NFC against opponents, but when they play the AFC teams, they just can't seem to get it done. So they were 0-3 against 3 AFC opponents in the preseason, and the first game against Cincinnati, a team that I don't think they've won a playoff game in 30 years, but Minnesota couldn't beat them on the road on a hot Sunday last week.
Mike Zimmer's, it's interesting to see his team and the faith that is put into Kirk Cousins. Is it at a point where he's got to move this thing further ahead? To your point earlier about they were a team that got this far. Is the time starting to run through the hourglass on Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, I guess, is the question.
Well, they've invested a lot of money in him. I mean, remember initially he signed as a free agent, a 3-year unprecedented $84 million guaranteed contract. So he's gone through that. They've had one playoff team with him as their starting quarterback. He's been quite durable. He's played basically every game. He's over the last 6 years, he's one of the most productive quarterbacks in the league. If you look at his numbers, he's averaged throwing for over 3,500 yards, passing, and at least 25 touchdown passes or more in 6 straight years. And not many quarterbacks can go away saying that.
Yeah.
But having said that, as I mentioned, he's been in the playoffs one time. They've won one playoff game. They won at New Orleans 2 years ago against Drew Brees and the Saints, who were 13-3 that year. But last year they were just 7-9. They did a lot of good things offensively, but the defense just couldn't get it done. They couldn't stop anybody. They allowed 475 points. But this year they've got some of those guys back on the defensive side. They think that they're going to be improved. But again, Cincinnati ran very effectively against them, moved the ball. Joe Burrow, who was a number 1 overall pick in the league a couple of years ago, he did well. They didn't put much pressure on him, and they were chasing him. The Bengals led by as much as 21-7. So there's still a lot to prove, and Viking fans are wondering if this team can do something that they anticipate they should be able to do.
Larry Fitzgerald Sr. with us for a couple of minutes as we talk about the Vikings coming to the Valley on Sunday. Patrick Peterson, how has he performed? How has he fit in there with the Vikings?
So far, so good. Joe Burrow and the Bengals didn't even look his way last week, much less throw a ball in that area. They chose to go at Breeland on the other side, and with great success. Breeland seems to be a cornerback who tends to look into the backfield a lot and gives a lot of cushion as a cornerback, and like he's expecting or anticipating help from the backside in terms of safeties. But Cincinnati had a great deal of success against him, and so he has to definitely improve this week if the Viking defense is to be better.
When you look at Patrick coming back here, you've sat in the press box. We've sat next to each other for many of those games in Glendale. And you're going to have Patrick Peterson on one side, and whether it's A.J. Green or DeAndre Hopkins on the other. What are you expecting Sunday to be like just in those matchups?
Well, I can tell you that Patrick's got to be, excited about it. He's that type of player. He's always brought a big game mentality, mindset to every game that I've ever seen him play, and with great result for the most part, from what I've seen when he's put on that Cardinal uniform, and so far he seems to bring that type of an expectation to this Viking defense, and I know that returning Sunday to the desert, he's got to be looking forward to it. Although we haven't had a chance to talk to him about it in terms of this week yet, but I believe he will be highly excited and charged up to come home to the desert and show that he can still play some football. And I think it's going to be one of the best challenges of his career.
Yeah, I think everybody out here is looking forward to it. Before I get you out of here, and it's the obvious questions around, you're going to be at the stadium. I would assume you're coming out, right, for the game?
No, I've decided not to come, and for several reasons. But I just decided that I didn't want to be in my position. I've been in this business, 4 decades. I've covered 40 Super Bowls, and I don't like being part of the show. And I just anticipate that, obviously, in view of the incredible career that Larry Jr. had with the Arizona Cardinals, and it being up in the air, why he's not with the Cardinals this year, and why shouldn't he be with the Cardinals this year. I don't want to be bothered by, that type of continual attempt to get something out of me that he hasn't cleared.
Yeah, no, and I get it. I saw Larry down in Tucson at a golf event in February. I heard he was going to play in a Pro-Am down there, and so I drove down, and he comes over and says, "Hey, Brad," and we have a couple nice pleasantries. And then you have to ask the question in our spot, where are you at? And he said, "I'm just here to play golf." And fortunately, he was playing with Marcus Allen, and he was playing with Richard Dent, and he was playing with Pudge Rodriguez. So I was able to ask all three of them right next to Larry, what's Larry going through and how's he going through it and all that stuff. And then I walked 9 holes and watched Larry. And we talked a little bit out there too. And it's he's got his own journey as a proud father. And I totally get it. This will be the first game you've missed, I would think, in Phoenix in a long time. I've seen you in most every Cardinal game through the years. Absolutely. It's been a long time, 17 plus. I've always enjoyed the opportunity. I got a lot of grandchildren out there as well. But, COVID's had some things to do with it also. The travel restrictions and that type of thing. We're still not totally open, as you know, yet. Right. But when you put that into it, that was big for me, that I made that call at least early in the season. Yeah. And as I'm going to go back on football and I'll let you go. Kirk Cousins' stance on not getting vaccinated, that's gotten a lot of attention. Where's that at now? Well, quietly, everybody that's opinionated about it knows that I think I saw a stat the other day where if you're unvaccinated, the chances are
11% greater that you'll die of COVID-19 than if you are vaccinated. So in this state, and as far as I know, across the country, a lot of folks really frown on individuals who come up with stances for why they should not get vaccinated. And he put himself out there by saying that if I die, I die. And so that's not something that's very popular. But people that are Viking fans have their fingers crossed, even though they want the Vikings to win. They still have concerns about that.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate your time as always and taking a few minutes to chop it up. And stay safe, stay well. And again, appreciate the visit. Thanks.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
There's Larry Fitzgerald Sr. with us for a couple of minutes. And we're back with more after this timeout.